have felt this before. Staring at a blank screen, a difficult truth sitting heavy in your chest. The words refuse to form in your mouth, but your fingers begin to move. As you type, the sentences assemble themselves, constructing a reality that felt impossible to speak just moments earlier. Hitting send isn't just an action, it's a release, a moment of profound, terrifying honesty. Why does a screen and a keyboard grant us a courage that our own voice often denies? Spoken conversation is a neurological high-wire act. Your brain isn't just retrieving words, it's simultaneously processing your own thoughts, monitoring the listener's facial expressions, adjusting your tone, and planning what to say next. This is immense cognitive load. It's less like a library and more like an emergency dispatch center, where information is processed for immediate survival, not necessarily for absolute accuracy. Your brain prioritizes speed and social cohesion over meticulous truth. Writing, on the other hand, is asynchronous. It introduces the most powerful tool for thought, the pause. This deliberate slowing down changes which parts of your brain are in control. The frantic, emotionally driven responses managed by the amygdala are sidelined. Instead, your prefrontal cortex, the seat of executive function and rational deliberation, gets the time it needs to carefully sort through feelings and facts. Writing isn't just thinking on paper, it's a different, more orderly kind of thinking altogether. When you speak to someone, you are looking into a complex social mirror. You are subconsciously tracking every flicker of their eyes, every slight twitch of their mouth. These are not passive observations. Your mirror neuron system activates, causing you to internally simulate the other person's perceived feelings. This creates an intense feedback loop. To avoid causing a negative reaction in the mirror, we might soften a truth, omit a detail, or tell a small, harmless lie. It is a deeply ingrained survival instinct. Writing removes the mirror. The immediate, judging, and reacting audience vanishes. In this solitude, the social survival instinct goes dormant. There is no feedback loop to manage, no risk of immediate social rejection. This doesn't just make it easier to be honest, it changes the objective. The goal is no longer to manage a social interaction. The goal becomes clarity. You are communicating not with another person in real time, but with an idea itself. Consider the simple physics of it. Your thoughts can race at hundreds of words per minute, but your hand, whether typing or writing, can only move so fast. This physical limitation acts as a natural filter, a mandatory checkpoint for your thoughts before they become words. You are forced to select and refine. The torrent of consciousness is channeled through the narrow gate of your physical dexterity. And this process of forced selection often filters for what feels most essential, most true. This physical act engages different neural circuits. Spoken language is heavily reliant on Broca's area, a region evolved for rapid vocal performance. Written language, however, relies on a pathway known as Exner's area, which is directly connected to the fine motor control centers of the hand. Speaking is like exhaling. It's a release. Writing is like building. It's a physical construction. You feel more honest because you have painstakingly built the statement, piece by piece. Writing creates what psychologists call psychological distance. When you write about an event or a feeling, you are separating yourself from the immediacy of the experience. You become both the subject and the observer. This slight detachment is not dishonest, it's clarifying. It allows you to view your own thoughts with less emotional entanglement, as if you were examining an interesting object you'd found. This distance provides the perspective necessary for a more objective and therefore more honest assessment. This distance acts as an emotional filter. The heat of anger, the fog of sadness, or the buzz of anxiety are dampened when translated into written words. It's one of the core reasons journaling is so effective for mental health. You are not just expressing emotion, you are processing it. You are converting raw, noisy data from your limbic system into the structured, logical format of language. The output feels more honest because it is what remains after the noise has been filtered out. A spoken word vanishes into the air the moment it is uttered. But a written word stays. It has weight. It is a record. Whether it's chiseled in stone, printed in a book, or saved as a file on a server, the act of writing feels like an act of permanence. This sense of creating a lasting artifact triggers a different psychological state. We are creating a testimony, and our deep-seated cognitive biases push us to want our testimonies to be accurate. This permanence creates an implicit contract. When you speak, you are in a contract with the listener. When you write, especially for yourself, you are in a contract with your future self, the self who will read this tomorrow or in 10 years. There is a powerful intrinsic desire to be honest with that person, to provide them with an accurate record. Lying to a future version of yourself feels like a profound self-betrayal, far more than a simple social lie told in a fleeting moment. Ultimately, the difference is one of purpose. Speaking is often a performance, an improvisation created for an immediate audience in the present. Writing is a construction, a deliberate architecture of thought built in solitude for a future reader, who is often yourself. The feeling of honesty we get from writing isn't because we are liars when we speak. It is the natural byproduct of a medium that gives us solitude, slowness, and permanence, the very tools we need to build the most accurate version of ourselves. Monotony has grown fast. Nearly 2,700 people have watched in the last few weeks, yet less than 0.03% are subscribed. It would mean a lot if you joined by hitting subscribe. And again, thanks for watching.